Joe Vitale's Zero Limits presents a modern self-help synthesis built around an ancient Hawaiian healing practice called Ho'oponopono, reframed as a simple, repeatable method for clearing inner blocks and inviting greater well-being. Co-authored with Dr. Ihaleakala Hew Len, the book centers on the radical idea that our external circumstances are reflections of inner memories and programming. By taking responsibility for and cleaning those internal imprints, we can change how life shows up. Vitale approaches the material as both a seeker and a student, recounting his own skepticism, the striking story of Dr. Hew Len's work with a psychiatric ward, and the gradual discovery that a deceptively simple practice can produce profound shifts. At the heart of the book is the practice of cleansing using 4 short phrases: "I'm sorry," "Please forgive me," "Thank you," "I love you," which function as tools for releasing subconscious content. Vitale explains that these phrases are not magic incantations, but vehicles for attention and intention. When repeated sincerely, they help dissolve the charge of painful memories, reduce inner resistance, and restore a state of openness the authors call zero. Zero is described as a mental and spiritual baseline free from accumulated judgments, identifications, and limiting beliefs. From that place, creativity, intuition, and healing can flow more easily. A central theme is radical responsibility. Unlike approaches that externalize blame, Ho'oponopono asks practitioners to accept that they are in some sense responsible for the reality they experience. Vitale reframes this not as guilt but as empowerment. If you are responsible, you also have the capacity to change what you experience by working on your inner landscape. This shift in stance moves the reader from victimhood to agency, encouraging an inward focus on cleansing rather than an outward focus on fixing others or circumstances. The book weaves anecdote and testimony with practical instruction. Vitale recounts the famous case of Dr. Hew Len, who reportedly helped transform a ward of violent psychotic patients by applying Ho'oponopono to his own inner state without direct therapy sessions with the patients. Whether readers accept the literal truth of that account or not, Vitale uses it to illustrate the principle that inner work can have surprising external effects. He supplements such stories with examples of people who report improved relationships, financial breakthroughs, and emotional relief after adopting the practice, emphasizing that results vary and that the method is best understood as a discipline rather than a guaranteed formula. Another major strand is clearing subconscious blocks to abundance and health. Vitale argues that many financial, relational, and health problems are manifestations of unresolved inner programming, memories, beliefs, or emotional patterns that limit flow. Ho'oponopono is presented as a way to gently and persistently clear those patterns. The process is described as iterative. Repeated cleansing gradually reduces the intensity of limiting memories, which in turn opens space for new possibilities. Vitale stresses patience and consistency, noting that deep conditioning can take time to shift. The book also addresses practical integration. Vitale offers guidance on how to incorporate the 4 phrases into daily life, during meditation, while encountering a difficult person, before making decisions, or simply as a background practice while going about ordinary tasks. He emphasizes sincerity over ritual. The effectiveness of the practice depends on genuine intention and willingness to let go, not on rote repetition. He also encourages readers to combine Ho'oponopono with other supportive practices, mindfulness, journaling, or professional care, rather than treating it as a standalone cure-all. A recurring insight is the non-dual quality of the teaching. Vitale and Hew Len point toward a perspective in which separation is an illusion. The other we seek to change is, at some level, part of the same field of consciousness. Cleansing one's own memories therefore has relational and systemic implications. This metaphysical framing can be comforting to some readers and challenging to others. Vitale acknowledges both responses and invites experimentation rather than blind belief. Stylistically, Zero Limits is accessible and conversational. Vitale writes as a popularizer, enthusiastic, anecdotal, and oriented toward practical application. He balances personal narrative with instruction, making the book approachable for readers unfamiliar with Hawaiian spirituality or energy work. The tone is encouraging rather than dogmatic. Vitale repeatedly invites readers to test the practice for themselves and to notice subtle shifts rather than expect dramatic overnight miracles. The book also engages with skepticism and critique indirectly by emphasizing personal responsibility for results. Vitale does not promise uniform outcomes. Instead, he frames Ho'oponopono as a tool that can complement psychological work, medical care, and practical action. He cautions against using the practice as an excuse to avoid necessary external steps, financial planning, therapy, or medical treatment, while still asserting that inner clearing often makes those external steps more effective. Finally, Zero Limits is ultimately about returning to openness, to a state where creativity, compassion, and clarity are not blocked by accumulated fear and judgment. Whether readers interpret the method spiritually, psychologically, or pragmatically, the core invitation is the same. Take responsibility for your inner world, practice sincere cleansing, and allow life to reorganize itself from a place of zero. Vitale's message is hopeful and action-oriented. Small, consistent inner practices can yield meaningful outer changes.